Shalom. We wish we could tell you good news from Ukraine, but unfortunately the situation is not getting better. We even think it will get worse and worse. First of all, if you talk about the general situation in Ukraine, I think Russia will try to do everything to further attack and bomb infrastructure, so that basically the whole country will be in the dark, without light, without electricity, without water, and without heating. And if you think that during the winter temperature can drop until -20 or more, so we really don't know what to expect. The situation with the Aliyah in Ukraine, thanks God, this still goes on. We have a few trips every week from all over Ukraine. First to our shelter in west of Ukraine for the night, where the Olim repatriants spend the night, and the next day we bring them to Kishinev, and then for their flight. So already from the beginning of the war, now 2.5 years ago, we realized that we are now facing a different situation on Aliyah work, but we also realized that in times of need and during the war, it's important to stay and help out. And during the beginning of the war, already thousands of Jewish families, especially in the beginning, refugees, we could help in a practical way to bring them from Ukraine to here. And they went to the consular checkup, and then they flew to Israel. So we don't know what the coming winter will bring, but what we know is that with a dedicated team, with a lot of transport, big and small buses, we will continue to work and help in a practical way. If people ask, what is your work about in Ukraine? What are you doing? I can only say it's driving. The drivers are constantly on the road, bringing families from near the war zones, from the north, the south, and the east, to the consul in Kiev, check up, then bring them back. We also have a shelter near Kiev. And then finally, when all the documents are ready and they have a visa, we bring them here to Moldova. So already thousands of people we could help since the beginning of the war, and we plan to continue to do that. And thanks to your prayers and your donation, we can continue with this work. It's not easy. We really pray every day. The drivers are on the road. We pray for their protection and for their safety, because already so many times other buses or trucks have been hit by drones and rockets. And that we don't want to experience. If you have a group of Olim on your bus and suddenly you end up in an attack and with a lot of wounded or dead people. But we thank the Lord for his protection. We will continue, and we don't know for how long. Every page of the Bible, it's mentioned about the return of the Jewish people. It's mentioned about the restoration of Israel. And it's also mentioned that the nation will help in the return of the Jewish people. He will call the nations, and they will carry the sons and daughters of Israel home. And this is what we are doing already for many years, for 28 years in Ukraine, in the land of the north, to help the sons and daughters in a practical way to return home.
We brought a big group of teenagers who are going to Israel. It was a long trip for them, actually a trip of 2 days. Many of them came from the war zones, from Kharkov, Zaporozhye, Donetsk area. They stayed overnight in Vinica, where we located. And then from Vinica, we brought them with a big bus to Moldova, crossing the border, standing in the border for 4 or 5 hours, checking the papers, suitcases, documents, all the permissions. And finally, we made it to Moldova. And right now, children are already in Israel at their schools, and they are happy, and parents send us notes saying that they are very happy for their children as well. We find it very special that the children, Jewish children, are making their way to Israel and joining the program of Aliyah. They are young children, and they're making their first serious steps to independent life. And it's very special because for many of them, it's the first time when they leave Ukraine without parents, and they leave from Ukraine, from the country in the war, to Israel, also not easy situation there. And they are the future of Israel. They are going there to build the country. to invest in the country. And we find it very special to be part of this process, to help them, to encourage them, and to help them make their first steps to independent life in Israel, hoping that one day their parents will join them in Israel and there will be a reunion again and the families will be together. So it's special for us to be a part of this process, and we thank you for your participation as well.